Radio Retrofuture.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Radio Retrofuture. Today I have with me Jeff Burdet and Depietro. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Very good.
Excellent, thank you.
Well, before I get into the show, I want to make a little announcement. By the end of this month, I am participating in a 48-hour film project with a local filmmaker called Grady Frost and nearly 50 other people. It's for a contest, and this is done all out of the pocket of the people who are participating, all 50 of them. However, some of the expenses turned out to be a little higher than anticipated, so Reggie is going to find some sponsors and do a small crowdfunding to get all the funds, so the people who are already participating don't have to pay any more than they already have to. And also, I want to help him with doing that. So I am offering anyone who wants to support me on my Patreon, link down below, to give this month's pledges to him, and as a matter of fact, I will double this month's pledges if anyone chooses to support us. So if anyone is interested in participating and helping what's probably going to be the first Dutch film project inspired by Steampunk, to help out, that would be great. Now, back to you, gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about their web series and all their other ambitions that go along with it. Archangel
from the Winters and Chronicles.
Oh, right. I knew I was saying that the wrong way around. So before we get into the web series, let's talk about you. What do you gentlemen do?
Well, I'm Dave Depietro. I'm the writer and director of the series. My full-time job is with a company called Museum Replicas Limited. We are the largest manufacturer in the world of historical swords, armor, and period costumes. Yes, we also do steampunk as well. We also produce all the military swords for many of the military armed forces throughout the world, such as the United States Marine Corps, Spain, England, and such. So every time you see a U.S. Marine Corps ad here in the States, and the gentleman holds the sword up to his face, that's our sword. So we're quite diverse in that sense, but we have quite a beautiful selection of steampunk costumes, jewelry, and accessories that we have in our catalog and on our online web as well, which is museumreplicas.com.
I'm Jeff Burdette, and I'm a producer, editor, and visual effects artist on the show. And when I'm not doing that, I'm producing and doing VFX on a freelance basis. And I also work for a company called All About Props, and as its name suggests, we make props for movies and film and television. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How did you gentlemen get to work together?
I met Jeff on another project. I was brought on to direct another web series, which was based on Batman, of all things. And Jeff was a producer on that as well. And we started working together, and I got to see his work in the visual effects area. And I thought, well, gosh, it would be great to have help with a project of this caliber. So we met, and gosh, we've been friends, and we're working on different projects. And he's worked here at the Cutlery as well, Museum Replicas and the Atlanta Cutlery. He's done a lot of visual effects as well as editing for us as well. So, and it's very unusual that when you meet somebody that the synergy is so in tune with each other. So, I mean, we're really always on the same page, no matter what we're working on, which is fun.
Yeah, you already said you make museum replicas. Your company is called Museum Replicas Limited. How did the steampunk get attached to that?
Well, we're always trying to do cutting edge things. Even though we kind of tend towards the ancient, medieval, Viking, we've also had licenses throughout the year. We've had licenses with Marvel Studios, where we did Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer. We've had licenses with Harry Potter, which we did all the high-end replica costuming. We did Star Wars, where we did, again, the very high-end, it's almost like clothing. It wouldn't even be considered costuming. So when I saw, probably it was a good 4 or 5 years ago, how steampunk was just taking off more and more, we thought, well, geez, that's not much unlike doing Western or Victorian garb and then adding some really nice features. So the whole line that we sell really is clothing. It's not like a costume in a bag that you buy for like a Halloween or a party or a festival and wind up throwing it away afterwards. Pretty much everything you see us wearing here, from the high-end, vests and the shirts and the cravats. We have beautiful women's wear as well. So we started adding that to our catalog and also to our website, and it just took off like a fervor. I guess that kind of walked its way into how Archangel came about. For many of our lines, we'll shoot various small videos, whether it be for Viking wear or for musketeers and things like that. But my boss came to me and said, let's shoot a video for your steampunk line. And rather than just say, well, here's a beautiful piece of clothing, here's a hat, and we sell that, I thought, how about if I would come up with some characters? So that basically transformed into what we now call episode 1 of Archangel, or a backstory of Archangel. It was done for little to no money, done on a handy cam, but when I went to show the boss afterwards, he watched this piece, and this is the kind of guy that normally is, he's looking at his watch and he's drinking something or he's busy doing something else. But he actually watched this episode 1 and he says, my God, this was really wonderful. He said, what would happen if I put some money behind this? What could you guys do? Well, I said, well, we take it to a whole new level. And then ergo, that's why when you notice episode 2, episode 3, much different, kind of quality, much bigger budget, bigger cast, better costumes. The effects get better with each and every episode. So that's what we started doing, and that became just our web series that you know today.
Okay. And Jeff, what was your first experience with steampunk? Why did it inspire you?
Well, the Civil War and alternate history. The chance of kind of looking at things and asking two questions. One, what if technology had gone a little bit differently or been a little bit ahead of where it really was at the time? What would have changed? And that's a great world to play in. It's a lot of fun. And, that was the initial inspiration, was just history in general and an alternate history, and asking the question, what if it had been a little bit different? And you can lead to basically anywhere from there.
Okay. Could either of you gentlemen summarize what Archangel is about for the people who have not yet seen it?
Well, it does take place in London of 1893, but the story is wider than that. It is actually a worldwide story. Archangel himself is a vigilante, a masked vigilante, who is sort of a Victorian Batman. That's an easy way of, a lot of people can associate him that way. His original name is Lieutenant Colonel Brendan Winter. He was part of Her Majesty's SAS, which was the Secret Intelligence Service at the time for Queen Victoria. However, there's a faction throughout the world known as the Legion, and the Legion are the evil organization spawned here in the United States and has spread throughout the world and taking over countries, country by country, much like a Hitler probably had done in the 30s. He's sworn to fight this evil, but what happened was they infiltrated the SIS from within. And he was sent on a mission, an assassination mission. And when he got there, the assassination mission was actually to assassinate Queen Victoria herself. So he refused to do it. However, there was a backup assassin waiting. She gets assassinated. He fights the assassin. He realizes that he's not going to be able to leave there alive. He jumps off a train and fakes his own death. Ergo, his wife, his child are out of harm's way, and he assumes a new whole identity of a British doctor by the name of Haywood Atkinson. And in this guise, he can fight crime. And the underground headquarters that they have is underground St. Pancras Cemetery in London. And they use one of the mausoleums as an elevator system that takes them down into this crime lab. And he, along with other vigilantes and other crime fighters and people that have helped him, form an allegiance that will fight the Legion at every step of the way. So he has a lot of help as well.
Yes, I've seen this. There are now 3 episodes, I think.
That is correct.
Yes. What is the intention? How many episodes do you have in mind right now?
Even though we have probably about 6 episodes written so far, the more response we got from Archangel as we were showing it, people say, gosh, I would watch this every week. I would watch this on TV if this was a real series, if this was a real film. So what Jeff and I have done over the past several months is that we have a full hour and a half or 90-minute motion picture script written for Archangel, which subsequently, if we can get the funding for that, we could turn that into not only a 90-minute feature, which could be shown worldwide, but it stands alone also as a great 90-minute pilot for a possible 1-hour television weekly series as well. The script is done. The television package, let me reach over here. We have a complete television package set here, which has the scripts and the storylines and the seasons and the story arcs and the costuming and pretty much everything. These booklets are usually made for investors who would like to participate in taking this to the next step. They become an executive producer, for instance. We have a few motion picture conventions that we will be attending, pushing Archangel and a number of other projects that we're working on right now, but Archangel is our baby. So that's our number one source right now for what we're looking for funding. And of course, we're looking to upgrade everything. We're looking to upgrade the special effects. We're looking to upgrade even the actors. Many of the actors, we have spoken with some Hollywood actors who have been in many big sci-fi features, who I don't know if I should mention right now, but many people will know them from movies such as Starship Troopers and even television shows like Star Trek Enterprise and things like that. So we really like to take this to the next level rather than continue with the online episodes. If that's what it takes to keep this alive, we will do more episodes. But right now, we are really ready to go. We have standing sets of the underground headquarters. We have a cave set. We've got the skyship bridge sets done. So we're kind of ready to go for a motion picture if that's the way we can go.
Okay, well, that's a lot to take in. Jeff, what is your let's go to you for a moment. So what is the next big step? What is your strategy to realize your dream?
Well, the next step in that is basically pitching the series to networks and to investors to try to raise the money to be able to do either a feature or the series as a whole. Hopefully, like Netflix would be a wonderful place to be. That would be a dream. And right now, it's about getting to those networks to try and get it picked up.
Okay, that's well, there are a lot. No lack of ambition. Let's keep it at that for now. So, are you considering crowdfunding, or are you like, no, we're gonna try to get the networks in right away?
Well, probably neither, actually. Crowdfunding, we have tried crowdfunding before in the past, and crowdfunding, it's a different kind of animal. It really is. And we found out a lot of behind-the-scenes workings of crowdfunding, such as most of those people that go on crowdfunding have 25 to 50% of that money raised already.
Right.
So when you see these numbers flying through the air, that's money that they're just putting back in to say, look, people are interested. And that naturally gets people excited. When we tried it, it did not work for us in that sense. And we did some beautiful, beautiful things and great prizes and great, things that you could obtain becoming part of the series. The opposite thing, like you just said, just go to the network for the money. That's not an easy thing to do. However, if we get funding from an individual producer or someone who becomes an executive producer, then once the movie is up and running, then the networks are interested. You have a finished piece of product for sale. And I'll tell you right now, within 1 mile from where we're sitting right now, they film so many television series here in the United States. They film Sleepy Hollow, the originals, the Vampire Diaries. They film motion pictures here constantly. They shot the last Jack Black film here, for instance.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps, you know. So everything's filmed within this area. So we're in the hub, basically Hollywood of the East of the United States right now, which is the Atlanta, Georgia area. So really, if you have a finished piece of product, you can get it out there. Jeff has worked on a number of smaller films like that have just tripled and quadrupled their monies, and now these films are hitting international circuits. They're hitting cable networks. So it's really an exciting time because there's so many new networks out there, such as Netflix and Amazon, that need to fill time, and they have no product. And to have something exciting like Archangel, where you've got steampunk and action-adventure and sci-fi all mixed into one, where characters from history are blended with characters from fiction, such as Sherlock Holmes, but he meets Nikola Tesla, and you have these great, crossovers. It's an exciting series, and we're hoping that will drive a couple people to say, yeah, we'll come on board and quadruple our money by making the feature.
Yeah, that is exciting. And how are the executive producers that you have approached, are they familiar with steampunk? Is it something they already considered experimenting with?
It's funny, the term steampunk, most are familiar with it. It's become more of a household word. But when they're not familiar with it, all you have to say is H.G. Wells or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or Jules Verne or The Time Machine or any of those, and they immediately can see exactly where you're going with it. But then when you mention that we blend history with, fiction as well, they seem to get even more excited. I think the thing with steampunk, Alex, and you'll probably agree with us, is that unlike, say, the goth movement of the 80s and the 90s, where only, cute little girls and skinny little guys look great in this garb, when you put on a piece of Victoriana, whether you're 6 or you're 60, you look wonderful in this. So everybody can relate to steampunk much easier that way. They can dress. We just had Dragon Con, which is a huge convention here in the eastern part of the United States. And steampunk was still a very big part of that convention. Out of the 85,000 that attended, I say like 20% was steampunk. So that's a lot of people, still into this really exciting genre. So again, the producers are quite aware of this. Naturally, they look at the positives and the failures as well. I don't consider League of Extraordinary Gentlemen a failure. I still find it a very beautiful film to watch and everything. Could it have been executed differently? Absolutely. Yeah. But use that in Wild Wild West and a few of these other pieces just to kind of say, imagine that flavor blended with the excitement of Batman. And then all of a sudden their ears perk up.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, the movies you just mentioned are by no means wonderful gems of cinema, but they are very influential in that way. And for that, we should really credit these movies for bringing it at least more into the mainstream. There's this meme even going around, how do you explain steampunk? Well, have you heard of H.G. Wells? Have you heard of Jules Verne? Have you seen Wild Wild West? No? Crap. So it is one of the things that always come up for that. And a lot of people enjoy those movies. It's rumored that Sean Connery stopped with filmmaking because of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I don't know how much of that is true. But for that, we should really credit those movies. I don't even think they did that poorly at the box office, to be honest with you.
No, they did not.
They didn't.
And I'll tell you, they found a whole secondary life on cable and DVD and Blu-ray. So they found a whole new audience for those films.
Well, as far as Will Smith, I mean, the video clip is great that went with the movie. So we can, credit him for that. I think steampunk, now to think of it, has a lot to thank to Will Smith.
Oh yeah.
Kind of think of it weird. But yeah, but let's when I look at Archangel, I think more of the Punisher because he has no problems with killing people. I think that's why
right.
I prefer
Right.
to. Yeah, well, I know the Punisher is less popular than Batman, but still, just my little nitpick. It does have a very grandiose feeling. I mean, with the market scene and all, when the air pirates come in, which a lot of other movies lack. To be quite honest with you, I really miss the air pirates coming down on cities and stuff like that.
Right.
So, but where did you draw all your inspiration from? You already mentioned Batman.
Yeah, I think the same way like George Lucas, when he was doing Star Wars. I mean, when you look at Star Wars, gosh, it's King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Mm-hmm. It's like every heroic story that it's some Tom Sawyer thrown in. It's a whole bunch of different genres put together. So I guess what it is, Alex, is you say to yourself, if I was sitting in a theater, what would I like to see? What do I gravitate towards, And naturally, we only have so many short minutes, to try to get an episode in. And that's why the feature, oh my gosh, there's so much backstory and there's so many more interesting characters. There's more characters that we've added that work with him in the underground, like laboratory area and everything. There's phenomenal, women scientists and men that are in there, and everyday guys on the street. But you draw from what's exciting, in that sense. And it is, as Jeff said earlier, what if, so what if Queen Victoria was assassinated rather than just dying, in her, office per se. So, you draw from these and the story begins to write itself. And you have great villains. You've got secondary villains like the Sky Raiders and people like that. It's amazing how stories just start to write themselves. And then you start bringing the backstory in of his wife and his child, like his young son, and how his son eventually will maybe join the resistance unknown to his father. So that's a whole story in itself, and so it's just an exciting thing. And like you say, you draw from history as well. And Jeff, he's like a wealth of information when it comes to the American Civil War. Exactly. And so much of this begins at the American Civil War time, and we've changed that storyline where it extends a little further. But as I said, his expertise is the Civil War, and the real stories that come from that were never even written are movies in themselves and TV series in themselves. So again, we pull from that as well. And Jeff, you can...
One thing about the airship scene that was in the inspiration for it, one, it was just fun to do, but the smaller ship in episode 2, and it's the one that gets blown up in episode 3, certainly is a nod to the Nautilus and Jules Verne.
Okay.
Because that's my favorite ships ever. So when I built that ship, you can see that influence in it. But one of the thematic things that was fun about that is if there were airships, then what would that change? And one of the things that would change is you could have people from all over the world suddenly show up in London.
Exactly.
It led into a very diverse cast, which is great,
which gave us a little more
because
freedom.
if you looked at Victorian London of the time, you would maybe have an Indian gentleman, you might find a few, black gentlemen and ladies, but because of airship travel, and the airship travel that we have is not just limited to dirigibles, but we have that, that steam-powered, heavier than air, lighter than air, kind of steam-powered airship, which moves faster. So that allows people to get from, say, Paris to London quicker, or from Germany to Italy faster, in that sense. So you have that quite diverse crowd that you have nowadays in London, for instance, but you have it back in 1893. So that gives us such a wide range of cast possibilities as to who we can, put in these big...
I'm kind of think of it, but what is the origin of the Legion? You already have the story of that.
All right. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. With the Legion is run by a man named Benton Cross. And he comes from America, from the American Civil War. And basically in that war, he would have been a young man at the time, and he's already from a wealthy family. They're arms dealers. And he winds up more or less, building some more advanced weapons than they really had. And winds up in a position where he is basically playing both sides against each other and saving the better stuff for himself and the legion that he's quietly building. And because he doesn't believe either side is right, really. And he really thinks that he is. And he's the only one that can stop it, which is one of the things he wants, is just to stop the war. And so basically he gathers his own army and eventually winds up accomplishing that. And depending on who you ask, to some people he would be a hero. Other people not so much.
But then he just started to extend that iron reach across, to England. He's conquered England. He's conquered France. He's conquered many of these like smaller countries as well, and he's trying to keep on reaching out further and further. One of the things that he does is that when you have such a wide area to monitor, he sets up a warlord in each one of those countries. So Jasmine Sin, who you saw in episode 3, who was played by Miss Yaya Han, she was the warlord of London, or England, basically. She ruled out of London. But he sets up a woman in each one of these positions, a woman that he slept with, actually, who he feels he has belief and confidence that she will not go against him in any way. So he's got these female warlords all throughout the world, monitoring his countries that he's conquered. And he keeps on reaching out further and further. As Jeff said, his father was an arms manufacturer who was supplying arms to the north. But then all of a sudden, his son says, why don't you supply arms to the south also, Father? He said, because I don't believe in the south. Well, mysteriously, his father just dies one day, and Benton starts selling arms to the south as well, and lets the two sides literally destroy each other and become so weak, he could just literally step in.
Okay, well, it sounds like a lot of possibilities could happen there, so that's nice. But one of the things, what I noticed with Archangel compared to other steampunk productions is it's much more mature than most other steampunk series I've seen till now. Was that intentional?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, if you look at what people are wearing, and I use this analogy quite a bit, and I hear it quite a bit at various steampunk conventions and get-togethers, that steampunk is not just gluing a gear on something.
Right.
And if you look around at what people are wearing, I mean, it's pretty much Victorian garb, maybe with the exception of some goggles, and of course the guns have been, elevated to the next level. Now there's still, firearms that shoot bullets in our series too, but there's also these higher weapons that Denton Cross has developed throughout the world. So they've made their introduction into different armies of the world as well. But it's going to be a much darker series if we have a chance to do the film. I mean, it really will take on that Dark Knight appearance, that people are familiar with. Even if you watch many of the American shows such as Arrow and The Flash and all that, they started off very campy, very comic booky, but now everything's starting to look more like Gotham, the series Gotham. It's a very dark series. It has lighthearted moments, don't get me wrong. But I think that the secret to any story is the characters. Start building those characters, whether you love them or you hate them, you have a feeling about them. And that's what we're trying to strive for. People that you love, people that you hate, people that you root for every week, people that you just wish would drop off a cliff. So that once you have that, you've got people hooked. And then you wrap it in this beautiful steampunk world that's just, as Jeff said earlier, endless, the possibilities, endless to be rewriting history. So it's exciting. It really is.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a big adventure. Maybe you're more used to it because of the work that you do, but for someone who has interviewed, most are all amateur filmmakers that I've had till now, like the people that are making Thaddeus Fang and web series like that, the Steampunk Fisticuffs, the Clockwork Fisticuff Society. which now has their first episode out. I suggest you watch it. It's lighthearted but very fun.
Absolutely.
It's impressive to see this one is taking itself so seriously. I hope you're not taking yourself too seriously. I mean, that's dangerous. But it's exciting because Steven Spielberg is also looking to make a steampunk series.
Right.
So,
and Guillermo del Toro is a very, very big fan of steampunk as well. We were actually thinking of trying to reach out to him as well.
Okay. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, so there are many very insiders, so to speak, that are looking to experiment with the genre. So, you've got a Hannabaloo as well. Not sure how that is going, but I think they're still making progress.
Beautifully done. It looks, what we've seen, I mean, it's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how about the actors we've seen and all the extras? Are those steampunks, or are they actors that you dressed?
Oh, no. They're professional actors. As I said, we have been very blessed to be within the Atlanta film community here. So a lot of these people have appeared on shows like Sleepy Hollow, the originals, Constantine when that was on. So a lot of these people have appeared in those series. The new gentleman we have playing Archangel in episode 3, for instance, he had a really great part on the originals, which is that vampire television series. I don't know if you have it in the Netherlands or whatever, but he was a really great character on that show for an episode or two before they killed him off, naturally. Everybody gets killed off on that show. So these are, very good actors, and not to say anything against them, but if we do the motion picture, if we do the television series, naturally we would like to have a few name actors involved, which at least gets more people interested in the genre. I mean, they may be interested in steampunk, but if they hear, oh, he's involved? Oh my gosh, she's one of the actresses every week? Oh, I got to see that. I love her. I love him. So that will help as well, in that sense. And I think when you see who we have in mind for some of these people, it's pretty exciting. It really is. I mean, you'll say, I could see him as Archangel, or I could see her as a warlord of London or France, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine. Can you give me a bit of a scoop of the people who are interested in participating in this that the viewers might know, or...
Well, the one, I might as well say, the one guy that we've been trying to get more and more, and if the series happens, we would love, would be Casper Van Dien. Casper Van Dien was the main star of Starship Troopers, the movie. He was also in Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, that film as well. He was a Tarzan in one of the big Tarzan films. And he looks amazing now. He's older, more mature, but he looks like he could be Bruce Wayne. He could be any of those famous crime fighters. He really could. He's very athletic, does his own stunts. He's also a director now, too. He's directed a number of films which have been on the Sci-Fi Channel here in the United States. So he does a lot of original films. He remade Sleeping Beauty, for instance, for the Sci-Fi Channel, and it actually was a more darker, more historically accurate version of Sleeping Beauty. So, again, that's just one of the 7 people that we have in mind that we would love to have on board in our film.
Okay, well, I can only wish you good luck. But we're already over a half hour in. So is there something you would really love to discuss?
I guess the only thing, Alex, first of all, we'd like to both thank you heartily that just to have us on the show, and that's really exciting. And you mentioned those other steampunk films and steampunk web series and things. None of those are competition, because all of those, including our series, keep this whole genre alive.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
So basically, it's just one more thing for people that are loving this genre to watch. So if there's nothing to watch, you start to lose interest. Maybe you go gravitate towards a novel or a book. But all these combined are really exciting. We invite everybody to go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com, and then Archangel the Series. Type in Archangel the Series as one word, and you will get to our Facebook page and like that. Our Twitter, our Instagram is Archangel1893, which is when the series takes place. So that's very simple to remember. Come like our page. we keep that updated. We put new things up there all the time. If we get any information about the movie, you'll be the first to know that way. And naturally, because you're reaching so many people with this broadcast, we'd like to put out, if there are any producers out there or people that would love to become an executive producer of the series, please write to us. Write to us on our Facebook page, private message us, or you could write to me directly.
We'll put the links all down below in the description,
Thank you.
and so send them to me on a later moment, and I can just copy paste them as soon as I have edited this. So yeah, but what is your hope for the future of steampunk?
Well, our hope is if we could do our series, I think it would become more mainstream than it ever has been. I think it's a steampunk that all different age groups will really enjoy. I think it's something that, just to say real quick, there's a, I don't know if you have Netflix over in the Netherlands, but
yeah,
okay. So there was a series that was made here in Atlanta called Stranger Things, which just went wild on Netflix over the summer here. And it was a series that almost 12 different studios turned down. They did not want it. Netflix finally picked it up, and it went through the roof sky high that now all the networks are scrambling to find something like Stranger Things. We want Archangel to be that. We want them to say, oh my God, we've had steampunk projects on the back burner here and nobody wanted to do them, but now Archangel took off. Oh my gosh, let's pull this out of the mothballs. Let's go see if there's other writers out there of other steampunk adventures or animated series or whatever. I think it could be a great building block to not only keep this steampunk genre alive, but I think to build it onto the next levels of where we can go with everything.
Okay, and can we expect a episode 4 anytime soon?
Well, right now, like I said, we're really pushing hard for this film and the TV package as well. We don't want to try to dilute that right now, but if, say, by maybe Christmas time, we see that probably won't happen until later part of next year, we'll probably look at an episode 4. And episode 4, let me tell you, it's a pretty darn exciting thing, and where we're going to take you. We're going to take you outside of London finally. We're going to take you to Paris. We're going to take you to Paris. Okay. And yeah, it's quite a bigger episode once again, and it's just amazing the next level of characters that we're going to introduce.
What has been the biggest challenge, apart from finding, and realizing your dream? What has been the biggest challenge you faced during the production itself?
Wow, there have been a lot of them. When we filmed episode 2, for example, we were set for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we had about 90 people with us those days. And the weather was saying not only rain on Friday, but torrential rain. Like, oh, wow. So now I have to talk to 90 people and see if everybody can do Saturday, Sunday, and Monday instead.
And then, well, then the thing was, we still had to set up early. So we had to convert. That's Pullman Yard. Pullman Yard was an old factory complex that they put the Pullman train cars together back in the 1800s, 1900s, like that. And that's where they filmed the movie Hunger Games. It was all filmed there. And they were filming Hunger Games while we were scouting locations. So we had to go in and take all the graffiti off the walls and make it like, 1800s again. Exactly. Well, subsequently, after we left there, Hunger Games came back for reshoots, and they put all the graffiti back again.
Oh, God.
So that was kind of fun. But while we were setting up that day, half our set blew away. As beautiful as those sets looked on film, you were only seeing half of them because the torrential rains came, the high winds came, and we had fruit and vegetables, like this fake fruit and vegetables, blowing down through the streets of Atlanta. So, I mean, to this day, I'm still finding oranges, in places like you wouldn't want to find them. So, yeah, there's a lot of setbacks, that way. And of course, working with a limited budget, we try to make it look grandiose on the budget that we have. So we were really blessed to have people that had horseless carriages or live horses and things like that to just really populate the street. But again, if we have the film, well, it will be motion picture quality that way. But we love it. I mean, it's still filmmaking, and the story excites everybody when they hear it. So everybody involved, from the cast, the crew, everybody, just get excited when they walk onto the sets or they see people in these, beautiful garb of the Victorian era. So they get very excited, and it's an exciting project.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you have financed it by yourself up till now?
Episode 1 was like $1,500. That's all it was. I mean, it was like nothing, and that was basically to build the underground set. Episode 2 was a lot more than that, but then episode 3, we thought, let's try the crowdfunding. We only raised probably about a third of what we really needed for that episode, but we pulled our belts tighter and we just looked at different ways of shooting it and worked with a crew that really believed in the project, and we pulled it off. Now, same thing with episode 4. I guess we would need some type of, it wouldn't be a lot of money, but enough to make it really look good again, that sense. Okay. So, but yeah, we're certainly open to it.
Okay, any people you'd like to thank?
Oh, wow.
Everyone who's been involved.
Well, I will like to thank, again, where I work, Museum Replicas Limited. If it wasn't for them, none of this probably would have started and none of this would have happened, in that sense. Our entire cast, our entire crew, who are literally tireless. They'll put in long days and long nights because they believe in the project as well. So, again, Jeff has been, my right-hand man from day one, and will continue to be that no matter what project we do. So I do want to thank him personally again for all the help and all the love that he's put into the project as well. So I think that's it. Anybody?
And Ted Morrow with All About Props. They've helped us out a lot. And it's great to know a lot of good prop makers and so forth. And that kind of network. If you're doing steampunk, talk to other people who are making things and so forth, and network that way and build stuff. And what it's all about, really.
Any way the listeners can help you?
Yeah, anybody got some money? No, just kidding. But no, seriously, if they're
like the page,
right, definitely just liking our page, which costs them nothing except their time to come like our page and look at our videos and grab some of our pictures and share some of our pages and likes as well. But again, seriously, if anybody's listening, because again, we posted this broadcast in the United States to listen in. Anybody who's within the Atlanta, Georgia area or within the tri-state area of Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama, if they would like to come on board and help us, or if they want to send us their resumes with their pictures for acting, I mean, we're open to all of that because it's one big, good, exciting family here.
Be it for aspiring filmmakers or steampunks, do you have any final message before we sign off?
Just do it. I mean, just do it. If you could dream it, do it. If you have $2 in your pocket, do something that costs you $2. If you have $200,000 in your pocket, call me. No, just kidding. But seriously, just go out and do it. Create, like Jeff was saying, create, get your Nerf gun and turn it into something cool. Combine some pieces of garb together. Attend some of the great steampunk conventions throughout the world. I mean, whether it's a NACRACon here in the United States or the Steampunk World's Fair that they have every year. There's so many of these. And if there's just a sci-fi convention, show off your steampunk garb. Show off what you can do that way. Form your own little groups, in that sense. I mean, there's so much that you can do, especially with the internet nowadays. You can reach out to the world, as you well know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Basically, everything he said, just kind of put your effort into it and do it and find ways to solve the problems that come up. It's easy to say that, but it's also, you'll be surprised what you can do. Like, for example, the airships that I built those in a program called SketchUp. I believe Google makes it, and it's free. So you can download it and just start creating things.
It all keeps us really occupied, this passion.
Yeah, it does. Keep that passion alive and go for it.